Good morning, Cucklebiddy! A small roadhouse community located on the Erie Highway in Western Australia. And welcome to Star Trek Picard, Season 2, Episode 4, The Watcher. It's not the, it's just Watcher, I'm pretty sure. Yes, very rare that an American time zone is gonna line up with Australia, so we gotta show them some love. Yes, today we're continuing our journey of Watch Along for Star Trek Picard Season 2 in preparation for Season 1. As you can see on the screen, what you're going to want to do is get a copy of Episode 4, because obviously I cannot stream it, nor can I stream the audio. And it's probably going to be very boring if you don't have a copy of the episode. Link in the description for Paramount Plus Star Trek Picard if you have an account, or I'm just using a rip of the Blu-ray that I bought. You're gonna get past all the ads, get past all that junk, and get ready for the actual start of the episode, and we'll sync it up. I'll let everyone get settled for a bit. I thought of another one, though. As I take a drink. If you are joining me from yesterday's stream, I thought of another quote. So you're all some sort of astronaut. Wait, no, dang it, I did the quote wrong. I had this before I started. You're all astronauts on some sort of fucking Star Trek. That one tickled me. Yesterday we were talking about adding F-bombs to Picard speeches, and I'm like, no, that's the perfect one. That's the line in all of Star Trek that needs an F-bomb. I don't know if we'll get anyone here today. This was very short notice for the live stream. I'll put a bit more notice for the upcoming days. But yes, I had to do some stuff. I had to go somewhere and do some stuff with my phone. So I wasn't actually sure if we'd be doing an episode today. We're also still on my mic because I haven't had time to look into my partners, which I forgot means I've reintroduced the dreaded hum. That I can get rid of in the videos, but live, it's still there. And once we get the episode playing, it'll be fine, I think, because the audio of the episode will drown out the hum. But I think I'm just going to buy a new mic. Like, look around and buy a real high-quality mic. The Yeti's good, but, you know, there are better ones. It's just the Yeti is a real good mic, but might as well. Also good to have a spare. My dog is here today as well. Nope, he's leaving. My dog is not here today. And there is no Alex. Another drink. Weekly live streams. My voice is hopefully still present on Saturday for the main live stream of episodes 9 and 10. Yes, I think we're just gonna go ahead and get started then. Because no one's active in chat. It says no concurrent viewers, even though it always says that. So if you're there and lurking, I'm going to hope that you're set up for the episode. So, for the YouTube, what we're going to do is we're going to do a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And on go, we're going to click the play button. So yeah, get after all the ads, everything, get your episode up, and let's get started. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Hello, Ukrainian Scrimshaw. I'm glad you're here. I hope you had time to sync up, because we literally just started, but I can wait if you want. Yeah, I actually remembered to look at my recording timer so I could actually do an accurate 5-second countdown. Episode 4 is the one where it probably starts going downhill a bit. It's the one where we get the Gaian recast. It's the one with the Watcher, because it's called Watcher. I don't remember too much of it. We'll see. We'll have a lot for me to react to in episode 4. Comment, what are you barking at?
What do you think he's barking at?
Oh, welcome home. We just started.
Hello.
Alex is here now.
I've gotta leave for my other hair appointment.
Oh, okay. You can take my car. It's charged.
Okay. Let me double check this. Yeah, 5:30. So I'll be leaving around 5-ish.
Okay. Look, people know my opinions on previously ons. Like, I don't like them, really. They're kind of nice at the start of seasons.
What plots?
On previously ons, or equally like next time ons when you're watching a show.
Oh, you hate those.
Yeah, because the previously ons are like, hey, remember
You
that
bitch.
thing from 5 episodes ago? Well, now we're gonna cover it in this episode. Like, I feel like I know what's gonna happen in the episode from the previously on. And even if I'm wrong, I'm still going in with that feeling. When I was a kid, and I watched Doctor Who with my mom, you know, they did, like, the next time ons for, like, the modern Doctor Who. And I would always, like, scramble to, like, get the remote and be like, pause it, or stop it on, like, Netflix, whatever. We still going with the previously on? Like, there wasn't a lot of plot last episode. There we go. That was a pretty nice shot of, like, going in the Lost Arena. I want to pay attention to this now, but this is actually like a pretty well-lit, bright scene, bright colory things, which is not how I remember Picard. I mean, I can't really complain about Picard and making, like, some sort of nightmare dystopian agency that actually exists. They seem to be equipped with upgrades, such as a cloaking device, but I waited till now to activate it, just for dramatic effect. You know, when you think about it, that's kind of weird that, like, it's been abandoned. I guess the Picards own it? Oh, hang on. I guess there we go, that's your explanation. I was like, you'd think maybe someone would want to turn it into a museum. Yeah, or, like, someone would just move into the abandoned one, but if they own it, you know. Wait, if Picard has a British accent because, you know, the Picards lived in England for a while, how come Kid Picard is distinctly French? Maybe it's just the mama, but that was a very distinctly French mama. I want to hear him talk again. Like, that's the Frenchest maman I've ever heard. Wait, why is her mom... Well, I guess maybe she wasn't a Picard. She's like a Picard by marriage. Fair enough. Do we know, actually, which one of his parents is the Picard? Like, by birth?
No humping.
What's he getting into? Oh.
He's humping.
I'm not gonna give context for the live stream.
I'll give the live stream context. I'm trying to discourage our dog that's been neutered from humping things. And occasionally I'll hear him start to hump things and you'll just hear me yell, "No humping!" You're welcome, live stream.
I drank this wine 100 years from now. Oh. Now, I'm not gonna go back, rewind, and pause that, but I don't see a group of 15 beads on the abacus. I think Picard... Oh. Well... I was literally gonna say, I think Picard, when did it, like, just became Sherlock Holmes all of a sudden, but I guess he wasn't the Dixon Holmes. That was just, like, a really odd thing to notice. Actually, no. Headcanon. He saw the 15th book, he saw the 15 on the wine, and went, oh, look. That's interesting. And then he's like, you moved 15 beads on the abacus, but she didn't at all. Like, he's just wrong. He's just trying to seem real clever. It's like the episode of Deep Space Nine where the entire plot hinges on the wife knowing her husband doesn't drink coffee after a certain time of day, but he actually does. She was just wrong.
I thought that sentence was going to be, that's what happens when your partner says they don't drink coffee after a certain time of day, but they do a line of cocaine.
It's like a massive conspiracy that gets unveiled specifically because the wife knows this, and then she's wrong.
Best-gone.
They neutered the theme song. You know, it's not as good. Here's the good part. This is where it gets good. They didn't change it. It's like with a lot of the modern theme songs. I'll hear them, and I'll be like, that's alright. And at the end, I'll be like, oh, I loved that bit. It's like, my favorite bit was the end. But the end of all of these is like the classic Star Trek, you know, do, 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 do. I'm like, hang on, how is that my favorite bit?
I love that, like, your favorite part sounds like an insult. Like, my favorite part's the end.
Well, my favorite part is, like, Strange New Worlds. When I first heard it, I was like, yeah, there are a lot I liked. And then I realized the bits I liked were the parts that were just the TOS theme. And I didn't like the other bits. So it's like, I liked everything you didn't change. Or the Deep Space Nine, the Klingon D7 from Discovery. I liked everything but the engines, which is the thing they changed. I've warmed up to, Strange New Worlds' theme, but there's, like, drums or something that break up the lines, and that's just unforgivable. It will never be forgivable. I don't remember which bit it is, but there's a pause somewhere that's unforgivable. Hey, look, this is colorful. And also, we've got Kirk Busboy. What is his name? Bus Punk? Punk on a bus? What's his name? I actually don't remember. I like how I know the voice actor's Kirk Thatcher. Oh my god, I didn't notice that before. Did he rub his neck from, like, remembering the voyage home? He did a little rub, like, oh no, not again. Yeah, I was very against this scene the first time. Yeah, I'm less, like, aggressively against this scene, but it was very much like, oh look, we're Star Treks. But I love that little, oh no, the neck. Like, I remember this. I mean, hey, look, someone is accepting her for who she is. Maybe you could bring this into the plot and, like, do some sort of arc where she realizes she has somewhere she belongs and she can be herself. Oh no, the Borg Queen is here. Exactly what didn't happen. I was trying to remember why they haven't unplugged the Borg Queen. I'm like, I feel like there was a reason. I just must have talked over to something. But no, I've remembered constantly complaining, why the hell have they left the Borg Queen on? If it's cruel that she's on and powerless, that implies that it's possible to make her not on and asleep. Wait, 100 Nor? Oh, there we go, 10. Picard's like, oh my god. I've always wondered why it was called 10 forward. You think that would have come up, actually? Like, you know, it's funny that my bar is that Tech 10 forward section, because I used to own a bar. It was number 10 Forward Avenue. Like, you know, it's unusual, isn't it? Prequels, you know, that question that always comes up. Like, you think that would have come up at some point. Alright, one of two things is happening. Either Guinan brought so much Saurian brandy with her that she still has some, or she's reusing the bottle, or she's getting supplies. It's probably the middle one.
My diamond?
What?
Diamond. You said diamond.
No, I said Saurian brandy.
You said diamond before that. I heard the word diamond.
Okay. Yeah, I don't like anything about this Guinan. Anything about this Guinan.
I feel that way about Kevin.
It's different. I like Guinan. This is a recast.
What's the name you just said?
This is a recast of a character.
What was the character's name?
Guinan, you don't know what.
I heard that when you said Guinan, I thought you said diamond.
Oh.
Which, hence my diamond joke. In that case, my Guyman.
Just the Guinan who, like, lived through Mark Twain's era, you know, in America, and was, like, you know, still kind of had that hopeful optimism, still very recognizably Guinan, and now that woman pulls a shotgun on Picard. Like, you see what I mean? And yes, I know, I know that the intent is that Time's Arrow never happened because the Federation never existed, even though time hasn't changed yet. So many problems. But even then, like, Guinan right before Time's Arrow was like the Guinan we saw in Time's Arrow. That look. Thank you for serving the public versus, you know, Sisko or Bashir, whoever, like, massively judged the Sanctuary District guy. Just like, yeah, we're just doing our jobs. It's like, yeah, that's why nothing ever changes. Even the good guy's a bit racist in that waiting room, like. Like, I don't have a problem with showing the, like, horrific underbelly of America, like, the horrible dystopia, especially in, like, the Star Trek timeline. But I think, again, it's Deep Space Nine did the same, you know, arguably a little less gratuitous, but, you know, it was doing the same. But Deep Space Nine made you want to change it, and, like, gave a hope for the future. It had all that dystopian, but it ended with the Bell riots and, like, hey, now things get better. Picard, again, I haven't seen how it ends, but I imagine it ends with, like, okay, bye. World War III, have fun with that. We're gonna go into hundreds of years where it just incidentally happened to get better. There's nothing about this that makes me want to make the world better. Everything about this makes you go, yeah, America's a big shithole. And it's an insurmountable challenge. It's probably just the one if Time's Arrow never happened, like. This dog has a better sense than an Illyrian. A Picard Illyrian. Let's just let that sink in.
Palmer, you picking the couch. Get over here.
Yeah, I think we'll get into the problems I have also with how Picard deals with Guinan, but we'll get to that once it's resolved.
Hey! Knock it off!
It's a minor problem, but I also find it really weird that this Guinan is extraordinarily buff, and like she got all that and is gonna lose it again. What is that? Why would Picard say this thing? Like, you could say he knows that, but also it was absolutely meaningless to what she just told Picard. Okay, he did know, but it still felt like really odd, I don't know. And only in the 21st century. Okay. I was about to say, why not just steal, like, a car on the street? Does Star Trek Tricators have the technology to just download the data from that computer? Or is this, like, the sonic screwdriver? Am I getting confused in my head?
Picard can download data?
Yeah, but, you know, we need a good internet connection. And yeah, the big... why is Raffi the character we kept? I guess we kept 7 as well, but of everyone on the list, Raffi's probably like the one I've wanted to leave the most. I love, and the fact that I hate the, like, season 3 character shot where you see all the, like, characters we love and, like, all these Starfleet, these clothes, and then they've dressed Raffi up in, like, the most like teenager emo goth way possible. Like, it's like, what? You can beam someone from Paris to San Francisco on the ground, but you can't contact Picard in San Francisco from Paris.
I mean, you
Like
could,
with a
that's
boosted
just called
signal?
a telegram.
Did I miss an explanation for that, or?
You
I thought you
can,
said
but that's
something.
just called a telegram. You just have the person contact Picard. Picard. Shit is stop. Fucked. Stop.
I have an idea. What if you just, like, waited for Girardi to fix the transporters, then once she did, stole the computer and beamed out of there? I mean, hindsight is 2020, but Seven's got, like, a Borg brain, you know? She could figure it out. Oh, shoot. Wait, What's happened? Are we back? I saw the YouTube was buffering for a sec. We didn't really miss anything, but... Have I been stable? Am I good? I don't know how long I've been buffering for, but... It didn't fully stop, so I think we're good. If I say more, I might I might risk, like, corrupting your path, but I am going to tell you to stay on Earth. And convince you to, single-handedly. But also, this isn't the Guinan who's actually going to exist when they fix the timeline. If Time's Arrow never happened, fixing the timeline means this Guinan is never going to exist. Maybe that could be my headcanon. Well, no, because Guinan references this in the future, doesn't she? We'll figure it out later. We'll figure it out in episode 10. I mean, if we go back to, you know, trying to show us how we can change the world or giving us hope and meaning for, like, what we're seeing is someone who's actually watched, like, the whole history of at least America and has gone, nothing actually is changing. All the progress that, like, we've actually made in the past few hundred years is just window dressing behind, like, all the problems that are still fully there and have never changed, which is not a very uplifting message. I haven't seen Time's Arrow in a while, but I remember, like, a Guinan who, you know, was still herself and was still, like, a cheery, optimistic, talking with Mark Twain, like, you know, things could change, and it, even if it's not said, is clearly has hope for the future. Despite remembering what happened to her world, and the fact that she's been a refugee for the past ever. Hi, Comet. Come up here, baby. I know. Is Guinan making me upset? You want to say something to the viewers at home? Mm-hmm. Good kisses.
I found a fun study. Dogs like and prefer it when you speak to them in a baby voice.
That's nice. Actually, like, a payphone number to get his badge back, that would be great. That's, like, the one thing he could need. find a Mexican payphone or like just borrow someone's cell. He doesn't have I guess knowledge of the century. Maybe he doesn't know. Oh, Stargazer, sorry. Yes, he is. He just asked for your occupation, man. I just realized I forgot to stream some audio so people could sync up, but it's a bit late for that, I think. Agnes P. Girardi. My brain's just gonna stick on that line. Why say P if not her middle name if you know it? Why it's... I don't know. It's what her mom said, and she knows it's really gonna get under her skin. Sure. Don't think that's true. No.
I'll be a Zane stream, people, so I'm going to go get my hair cut.
Have fun.
I shouldn't be gone long because it's just a haircut.
Yeah, thank you, Girardi. There's not a T in believe me. Hey, look, Girardi's standing up to the Borg and, like, actually getting this criticism that she could take very harshly and like, increase her self-doubt and just throwing it back in the Borg Queen's face. You could almost turn that into some sort of arc of her, like, realizing she has a place to belong and, you know, coming over her shortcomings and, oh, no, there's the Borg Queen. She's convinced her. This is a depressing episode. Why would they put him in a sanctuary district on the border? Like, I guess maybe if they know it's hell. Surely these people would want him, like, out of the country, though. Like, regardless of where in the country you would put him. I mean, how is that counterintuitive? I know why. It's like, Seven, for God's sake, you know how a transporter lock works. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we invented the transporters you could, like, run around for. Just thinking about the time travel in my head at Picard, like, Star Trek as a whole is inconsistent about, like, what time travel is, you know, what the rules are. You kind of have to take everything individually, but especially when you throw in things like Time Zero never happened. There's so many different time travel things that all have different rules. You're trying to reconcile, like, you know, that scene, butterflies. But is it even butterflies? Because if Time Zero happened, like, I've already talked in my videos how much would have changed around San Francisco or LA, whichever it was. But, like, you know, all the times Kirk went back in time, or, like, Gary 7, or, like, did those never happen? Like, collectively, that's gotta change history. Who's the they that sent him to her, actually? Oh, it was like Gerardi Bohr? No, who was it? I don't remember. You probably know me from the hit TNG episode Time Zero, but I inherently know you don't know me, and I don't really understand why. But the plot needs you to help me, and so, you know, you should help me. Signed Picard, XOXO. What's that shit? That makes it sound like the name is what convinced her, but again, according to the writer, she doesn't know him. I can accept that, like, Guinan knows the Watcher. It kind of paints up more of, like, Earth before First Contact was basically some sort of Men in Black, like, the aliens are everywhere and know each other, like, we just don't know about them. Again, I've never really liked the depiction of the Watcher, who was they're the people who were in charge of Gary 7, basically, from TOS, if you're not aware of the reference. But it's like, it's weirdly mystical and basically like ultra powerful god magic, which Star Trek has plenty of, don't get me wrong, but it's without kind of going into these people or explaining them, it just doesn't quite work for me, I guess. And like, if this was just some random race, maybe, but it's kind of like, this does not seem like the people who would have been in charge of Gary 7 to me. I just don't get that at all. Also, yeah, the fact that Gaiden can leave the Earth implies that, like, There's ferry services or something going on here. And yet, should we address now that World War III is in 2 years? Like, and God, this is just so dumb, because Picard presumably doesn't know if Guinan actually left or not, with the way he's acting, and he hasn't gone, but Guinan, I know you stayed on Earth for World War III. And we know, and Picard knows, that sometime between now and the 23rd century, she's got to get off Earth and get on some, like, Illyrian refugee ship to meet the Nexus. How do we know this is... How does he know that this is not the time that she did that? Whose kid is this as well? Because they're not a good parent, apparently. And the music is kind of like intense, spooky, eerie, but these are like the good guys, right? These are guardians of time. You know, why is the tone like this? Is it? Really? It's been like 2 minutes. If that. I've overestimated, actually. In my joking underestimate, I said a number that was too high. If you were following Picard, you wouldn't have had to move yet. Wait, that was her who was taking control of everyone's... Man, they didn't give Gary 7 any of this junk. Like... It's so... I mean, you could argue she should have this, but it's so, like, detached and the little people don't matter kind of thing I get from that. Like, someone who would just take over the minds of all these random people so casually. And yeah. So many more questions about this. Ukrainian Scrimshaw, I get what you mean about the timey-wiminess. So yeah, I think we're done. Just gonna let the credits roll. I guess I'll keep this for the YouTube video as well a bit. But Q's powers don't work now. But the whole reason we're here is because Q extracted, the crew from time, put them... No, he didn't even extract them from time. He, like, picked up their consciousness and tracked them, like, plopped them in the alternate timeline where he had changed the past. But... is this a past version of Q that we just saw before he extracted everyone from time? If it is, how come... Well, I guess before he sent them back, you could say he hadn't sent them back to foil himself. Okay, maybe this is what killed him. Like, he just threw time paradoxes at himself. So, you could say that. But I'm pretty sure this Q... Like, I think from what I've seen, there are not two versions of Q here. One from, like, before he changes time and one from after. So, if Q took everyone from time, what world did he put them in that was, like, the alternate future? Did he create the world? Because, like, maybe it's, like, just a fake world of his that he could just know what's happening. But, I don't know. That feels kind of weird. But let's just let that slide. because then he goes back in time and, like, tries to use his powers, which I guess he just hadn't done in any of the time between everyone arriving and that moment right there. But, you know, if his powers were failing, like, he did say it was unexpected, but Q knows he's dying. Like, you think he might be aware that his powers are weakening and that he would try and change time first. But if he did change time to, like, when he showed everyone the alternate future, how come it's not changed now? Like, unless somehow what Picard and crew have done since arriving has changed his fixed time, and he has to, like, go back and re-break it, but I don't think that is the case. They have not interacted with Renee in any way whatsoever. But yeah, that's probably where we say bye to the YouTube people. Oh, hang on. 5108. Let me write that down for the editing. 5108 video ends. Yeah, I mean, I'll say definitely my my opinions, like, now going through it are largely the same, but, you know, a lot mellower. I'm saying a lot of things I did in the past, but, you know, with kind of a chuckle at the end. Because definitely having it all be done, you know, we're done, it's gone, we know when it's ended, we know how it goes, you can analyze it a bit more than worry, I guess, what's gonna happen. And the more move from time what you get, the more you can go, like, yeah, we'll just ignore this. You know, this just, the Doctor's half human. Like, yeah, how about no on that one? But it's, I mean, it's just kind of a bit depressing, I guess. Like, I'll say so far, you know, not ignoring anything I know after this point, I think this is a fine, perfectly acceptable television show. It's not a great Star Trek. I'm not sure if it's a very good Star Trek. And I'm gonna say it's, like, not a very good Star Trek. But it's, like, just a random show. If this came out, yeah. I don't think it's a great show so far. Like, you know, it's got maybe pacing problems. Not a lot happened episode 3. Well, it's fine. I'm fine with the pace. You know, I kind of like slowing down, taking some time to breathe. But they're doing it in a way where, yeah, it's just nothing is really happening as opposed to stuff is happening slowly in episode 3. Yeah, and it's just taking place in, like, a very depressing setting in very real ways. I don't have to deal with, you know, ICE, or I don't have to directly deal with racism or discrimination. Well, that's not entirely true. No, I am non-binary. So, like, yeah, I do brush up against that and sometimes, but I, in a way, you know, it's part of the problem, but I do appear, you know, to be a straight, white guy. So, you know, that's gonna, I can't be subject to discrimination if people don't know I'm a group to discriminate against. So yes, I definitely do not brush up against this stuff, but I still very much know of it. I know America's a shithole, and, like, I hate living in the shithole, and it's not doing it in any way that, like, makes me want to change it, makes me feel that I can change it, makes me feel that I can do anything, despite being someone who believes that I can. And it's almost telling me that, like, yeah, you can't, like, especially this close to World War III, which it did inherit from, you know, classic Star Trek. It's like, yeah, I mean, the solution in Star Trek is we have to go through hell. You know, that in classic, that was always kind of the thing. is we've got to go through the post-atomic horrors and World War III and the eugenics wars, and like America is not going to fix any of its problems until like 2024, and then the world's going to end. I guess the classics kind of benefited from that being far enough in the past or in the future. You're like, but I don't know. And the other thing is, it doesn't have the amazing writing quality that something like Deep Space Nine would, where you can still get either some message or just some amazement at how well it's written to get you through the like, this sucks. And I know there are people who are into dystopian sci-fi, like misery porn is it somewhat probably not affectionately called. I don't get it. I mean, yeah, you could say maybe that's just I'm not the target audience, but if you're doing a Star Trek, I feel like you shouldn't make misery porn. Like, you should... that doesn't go together. You just don't. And if you want to do something like that, yes, you gotta bring that exceptional writing quality, and even then have an exceptional justification. Let's look. When Deep Space Nine went really dark, what did it do? It did, like, In the Pale Moonlight. It did, like, a very real, like, story on contemporary racism. And, yeah, like, it had a message. In the Pale Moonlight has a message. You have the Siege of AR, yada, 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 which was a very, like, grim look at war. Like, how far will good people go in war? It was setting up a PTSD arc of, Nog going into Only a Paper Moon and stuff. Knowing how Deep Space Nine was written, I'm not going to give them credit for that. I assume that was, like, total accident. But, like, the Siege of AR, yada, 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 has a message, like, a very strong one. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I mean, Deep Space Nine is really where the dark and, like, the crossing lines is going to come in. What are other great... I feel like there's one more, like, great... I mean, heck, the line I quote so much, like the "Yeah, Damar, what kind of people?" Like, that whole scene of, just Cardassia. Season 7 Cardassia is, like, so depressing and dark, but just it's the culmination of 6 years of this amazing story, this amazing look at the oppressors, the Nazis, the Soviet, whatever, becoming the oppressed, becoming the Jews, becoming... I get... The Soviets didn't really do... Right, but, it's just that turnaround in the narrative, and then the moments of, like, just getting Damar to look at himself, be like, oh, fuck. Like, my kind of people. That's who does that. And, just the message that immediately follows that of, like, if Damar really is the man to lead Cardassia into a new golden age, like a new era, what you just said, not only does he need to hear it, but the pain of this experience is going to make it stick even more, and this is exactly when he needs to hear it. Like, you gotta bring something when you're gonna take Star Trek into miserable hellholes. And Picard is bringing mental health and Patrick Stewart's experiences with his mother, but so far we haven't seen any of that. Like, we've gotten hints at the flashbacks to set it up, but we just haven't seen it. It's maybe bringing something about mortality and Q, but again, we haven't seen it yet. We're 40% through the series. It's... God knows what it's going to try and say about Girardi, but that's not going to come in till episode 6, and yeah, we've been over that message. That's incalculably stupid, just to think that was a good idea. It's just not bringing anything to this misery. And so you're just like, well, that was kind of miserable. And on top of that, it's just the weird things it does with canon. They're maybe not satisfying or hollow. And like, yeah, I get my thing about recasts is like a personal preference, really. Like, I think I could cite legitimate things that are less preference. Like, there are downs. Like, I don't think anyone's gonna argue that there are not downsides to a recast. Like, yes, they are. Like, sometimes it's impossible, you know? You're not gonna get Leonard Nimoy to play Spock. You're just not anymore. But in a lot of cases, that's a personal thing. But yeah, it's just like, that was kind of depressing. Oh well. I think, as we getting in a preview, I think I might continue this trend on the normal weekly live stream slot. So that's the 4th and the 11th of February, before Picard comes back. I think I'm just gonna go into the cage, and then, like, where no one has gone before, I might just do some TOS watch-alongs whenever I don't have a Star Trek in the normal time to review. But we'll get more formal. I also think I'm going to be doing at least an episode a day. One of them's gonna have to have 2. At like 4:35, but that'll be broadcast ahead of time. Ukrainian Scrimshaw, I'm glad you caught the notice. But yeah, I'll broadcast at like the start of the day. I'll schedule the stream. Yeah. And I can't even argue. That was where I was going. Like, I can't say too much on, you know, the resolution with Q, because I haven't seen it. I'm aware of it, but I haven't seen it. I can say more about Picard and his mother. I don't believe I have fully concluded that arc, but I saw the big one where, you know, we know what happens. You know, I saw that. And yeah, I don't remember many of the specifics. Like, I can't do a really fine detail nitpick of it. Not nitpick, sorry, critique of it and, like, analysis. But I just remember it was, I felt, as an autistic person, I felt it was a case of just, hey, remember Utopia? Well, it's not anymore. Which I've talked before. Modern Star Trek did inherit a dilemma in that representation is good, disability representation is great, but Star Trek is set in a medical utopia where, except for maybe, like, Strange New Worlds, there is absolutely no reason any human, any Federation citizen should have a disability, be it mental or physical, unless it's not the kind you're born with, like PTSD or something. Like, even Geordi in TNG, I will never understand why he's blind. Like, we can fix that. The law says we can fix that. They just chose not to. And, like, everyone wears visors nowadays. And Geordi's weird, because, like, he's not even really disability representation, because, like, he's blind, but his character can do everything a sighted person can do. And, in fact, he has better vision. Like, he can do more than a sighted person can do. And so, if anything, he's, like, extra ability representation. But, yeah, like, you could argue, you know, for my example, you could have an artistic person in Star Trek just be like, yeah, this isn't something that we get out at birth, because you can function with it. It's not always a disability. You know, we can deal with any of the actual problematic side effects through medication or therapy or whatever, while still, you know, keeping the core of that person. But even, like, you know, a wheelchair bound you're missing a limb or something. It's like, why? Like, Pike's little beepy wheelchair is comically unadvanced. But that Star Trek shouldn't really take that as an excuse to not have representation. And there are many arguments that if they just throw it on the aliens, like people who weren't born into the Federation, that guts the representation, which I can understand that. I'm certainly not gonna. I don't think I agree with that. Certainly not in like the generic, no specific case, but yeah, I definitely understand that viewpoint. So, if you want to tell this sort of mental health story, you're at a disadvantage. Like, I'm not gonna say it's impossible, but what they've done is they set up a society where Picard's dad hid it, if I remember correctly. Or I have no reason to believe it couldn't have been treated. In fact, I have every reason to believe it could have been cured, but they hid it so the family wouldn't look bad, which implies so much about the society that Picard's and his dad grew up in and that they live in, that is just so against Starfleet principles and the Federation ideals and that utopian vision, that it doesn't work. It just doesn't work for me. And yeah, I'd have to look. I'm sure Star Trek has to have done like mental disability episodes in the past. I'm drawing blanks. Like, maybe it hasn't. But anyone? Ukrainian Scrimshaw, you still here? Can you think of one in the chat? Like, one where Star Trek tackled mental disability. There's that guy in the Sanctuary District episode, but like, he's not the focus, and he's arguably like a comic person, like comic relief. Yeah, maybe it didn't. Maybe it's just never done mental disability. Oh, no, yeah, that's it. The genetically engineered folk, from Deep Space Nine, whose names I should really look up, the name of that group. I think they're kind of Star Trek's mental disability group, which, yeah, you could say you kind of got the story, because they were a botched medical procedure, not like, you're kind of hiding the story behind sci-fi-ness so you could air it. It's kind of the old argument. But yeah, they were probably the only time that Starfleet did it. And even then, like, they had them there, but I don't think they did anything. And again, they were at times kind of like comedic, comic relief. They weren't butt of the joke, but there are definitely lines that are supposed to be, like, funny. It's kind of supposed to be amusing watching these people, which, yeah, isn't... it's no longer representation when that's the case. But it's interesting, because that's one thing I know Patrick Stewart was really big on. He wanted this story. He wanted kind of Picard to have what I believe Citation needed is very similar to a rough upbringing he had. Big Citation needed there, but I'm pretty confident that that is the source of this story, and I don't remember how similar it is. Patrick Stewart's life versus this fictional story we're seeing, but I mean, before modern Star Trek, I feel like it was generally agreed upon that Patrick Stewart made the worst decisions when it was about Picard and his characterizations. Like, most, if not all, of the characterizations of Picard people don't like from classics were a Patrick Stewart mandate. Action hero Picard in the movies, Patrick Stewart. I don't mind this, but a lot of people were upset not only when Picard's family died in Insurrection, but that it was so brutal. Not only, I can't remember if Picard requested they died, but originally they had a much less gruesome death, and Patrick Stewart, when no, like, this should be horrible. Like, this should be a horrific death. Make it awful. And, like, give me that to react to. I think, actually, he did ask for the deaths because he felt Picard wasn't given enough in that script. The, like, Argo, you know, the Picard who drives the dune buggy around, gets excited. Pretty sure that was a Patrick Stewart request. Like, Patrick Stewart's never been the great person to make decisions about what should happen to Picard or with Picard. And I just feel like this was another example of that. And it's just upsetting when Picard is that I say he's like the Trekkie's Jesus. He is the, like, if you're I think it's Scotchbox as a guy who plays like a Final Unity. It's a good playthrough, the like point and click adventure of TNG, a Final Unity. But there's a bit in there where he says, like, when he finds himself, you know, he really wants to know what the right thing to do is. And he doesn't want to, like, trick himself, be like, give excuses for what he wants to do, like, why that's actually the right thing. When he really wants to know, like, what is the moral choice here? What is the right thing? He will say, what will Picard do? What would Picard do? And, like, it's very much, in a lot of ways, Star Trek is like a religion, and that Picard in particular is the Jesus of that religion. He's like the guide of, this is the better way. This is how you make the world a better place, and this is what you strive for. And Picard is the, what would the perfect person do in this situation? Ask Picard. And yeah, I think he definitely is. There's definitely a point where I was more like high school, college, figuring out, or like trying to get those dedications for, like, I'm vegan. You heard earlier in this stream that my car was charged. I drive an electric car. You know, getting to the moral life I'm very happy living with was what would Picard do? Like, that hard, like, take no shits, get angry. Like, Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits. The conviction of Picard, like, is very much an inspiration of, I think I am very easygoing, and generally, and, like, you know, I'm good with debating things, but, like, when it comes down to the moral right, the morality, like, yeah, I'll have ethical debates, you know, if I'm not sure, I can change my opinions, but, like, this is why I was so hard. I am so hard on Picard Season 2, is because Doctor Who Flux is bad. It's not good television. Discovery Season 2 is bad. It's not good television. Picard Season 2 is bad. It's not good television, but it does active moral harm. It does active harm, I think, to vulnerable people who watch it, and I see a complete disregard, ignorance or disregard of, you know, the position these people are in, the power, the influence they have when making this show. Picard is bad because it is amoral. Picard is bad because it does not do good. It actively does not do good. And that's why I'm so hard on Picard, as opposed to, it's not just I don't like the show, it's I fundamentally morally disagree and think this show, I would not be surprised if Picard indirectly or directly leads to the end of some people's lives, which is extreme. But in the viewers, like, I think it's extremely unlikely, but in the viewership that a show like Star Trek or Picard would pull in, it would not be surprising. Just with the Jurati, how they show what Jurati does, how they show it is okay and acceptable, and how it could so easily be transitioned and applied. Not even so easily, just it is analogous to, and it just is that sort of cult indoctrination, or even more innocently, the sort of classic high school drama of, like, changing your appearance, becoming someone else to fit in with the cool kids or whatever. Picard is bad because it actively does wrong, not because it is poorly made. Which, it's not great made anyway. That doesn't help, but it's what it is it's the KKK's theme song. If you didn't know, the Ku Klux Klan has a theme song. It is racist because it's the theme song to the KKK. It's also very well made and very catchy. I don't encourage you to listen to it, but if you would, you just ignore the lyrics. You're like, this is actually, a well-made song. But it is a bad song because it's about the KKK and how they're great. Picard is the KKK theme song, but it's not very well written or performed or produced, and it's not catchy. It's just bad. Which is better than being, compelling and well-written and bad, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But, yeah, I hope Season 3 is better, and I fully acknowledge it's not going to be better because the writers, the producers, whatever, it's not going to be better because they do better, because they've already filmed it. They made it with Season 2. They can't have done better. If they've done better in Season 3, it means they selectively and, actively did worse and with Season 2 when flopped between being better and Season 3. It's going to be better because it happens to not brush up against the things that were bad in Season 2. But I think so far, I'm still in it for the long run. I will, no matter what, I will do episodes 9 and 10. But I'm still in here to make it through 5, 6, 7, 8. And 6 is the test, I think. 6 is the one where I gave up. I reviewed 7, and I did a video for 8, but 6 was the episode where it was over for me. But even that, 6 has a beautiful scene. 6 has one of my favorite scenes of Star Trek, where Picard consoles Renee. I think that's a great scene. I love it. I will defend till the end of time that the 5-minute pep talk could change history, could turn this woman's life completely around and bring the world into the utopia. I'll say right now, that is exceptional. That is what this season should have been. This season should have been that it is the smallest, most inconceivably tiny actions that bring about utopia. That is the message that should have been the focus. That would have been a Star Trek. That would have been maybe it's not the best written, but that's a great message, and, I can applaud that. That would have been doing good. Instead, it's just surrounded by probably the most appalling moral philosophy I've ever seen in television. Which I'm absolutely positive it is not the most appalling one that exists. I just don't go out and watch, racist vile. I don't seek that out. But yeah, there's Picard. I will praise... There's good in Picard. I will praise that scene. That was Star Trek doing good. But God, that should have been the focus of the season. That should have been the focus of the series. Because it's such a beautiful message. Just, yes, the 5-minute pep talk changed the world. Because that is something you can do. That is something you can go out into the world and give a 5-second pep talk to someone. That's just the most inconceivably tiny and easy action. And even if that is not going to bring about utopia, that is going to make the world a better place. And that is using your show to just put something positive into the world and make the world that much better. And what we got was the same effect, but making the world just a little bit darker, in my opinion. It's just a shame to me. Is anyone still here? Ukrainian Scrimshaw. For some reason, YouTube doesn't like to count you as a concurrent viewer, but I would love to know if anyone actually sat through and listened to that speech. You know, I should get pre-recorded messages. You know, I hit a button and it plays a clip, and I should just get Counselor Troy's, like, you're the captain, you're entitled. There we go. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed. You know, I hope you enjoyed. That's just it. That's what we're here for. I'm here to make the world just a little bit better, if by nothing else providing entertainment. I don't have the luxury of the law of large numbers that Star Trek has to work with when those just little improbable ways of influencing the world to be better become guarantees. But tomorrow, 4:35, something around there, we'll be back with episode 5. What is episode 5? Fly Me to the Moon, which I think is just prep for episode 6, if I remember correctly. The only thing I have to get angry about is spying on a therapy session, but we'll get there. That's a tomorrow problem, when I'll probably rather be building Lego. I could do it. I could just set up my new Lego set. Got a Lego set arriving tomorrow. I will not do that. But if nothing else, you can look forward to The Cage on the 4th, probably. Thanks for watching. Oh, hang on. I've remembered the end stream, Little Modal. Oh, I hope it was, I hope the connection was good, by the way. I saw it buffer, like, the once or twice, and the preview has been low quality, but no one said anything, and I feel like, especially Ukrainian Scrimshaw, if you were here the whole time, that would have come up. So, thanks for watching, thanks for being here, and I'll see you next time!